right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Two Beers with the Band. I'm your host, Chris Schramm, and today I was lucky enough to get some of the guys from the band Stammer to come in and sit down for a conversation. And we got a couple of beers here. They picked one from Nashville Brewing, and I thought, why not stay in the same vein as those guys? And I picked one up also from Nashville Brewing Company. But before we get to the fun part, guys, if y'all want to introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about what you do in the band.
Sure. Yeah, we got 2/5 of Stammer right here. I'm Steve. I'm the bass player and music director, kind of general overseer of the analytics and the admin boring stuff. That's kind of what I do,
and that's a valuable part. It saves us. I'm Jacob. I play guitar. I do a lot of the booking and email stuff and drinking. That's what I do.
Awesome. I'm Chris, the host. I also do drinking.
There you go.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump into this first one. I'm going to pass that around. And let's see what you guys picked up. Y'all picked up the Nashville Brewing Company Lager Beer. This is a 4.9 ABV lager. It says brewed by Nashville Brewing Company, Nashville, Tennessee. All right, guys, let's get it in the glass and get it started. Oh, wow. All right. This beer is clear. It is a beautiful, clear beer.
It rhymes.
Very golden color. It had a foamy white head that disappeared very quickly, but it has fast rising bubbles. It's pretty beer.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
See
guys.
my fingers through the glass.
Right,
So clear.
right. I think
Yeah, it makes me look better.
I can barely see y'all through the glass, but I'm sure that'll change here in just a minute.
Sure.
Let's get a sniff, see what we get out of this one. All right, overseer, what do you get out of this one?
It's like, it's not like offensive at all, right? It's pretty faint, I think. Weedy, kind of. I don't know. I'm getting a little
Grain,
bit. Yeah.
a little grain.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
I'm getting a grain vibe.
It smells like it'll be light, I guess.
It should be. What are you getting at?
My initial nose is apple, like a very heavy, almost cider-like smell. I smell tartness. I'm assuming it's going to be a little less on the sweeter side.
Hopefully, it should be.
Yeah. And again, I do smell a hefty level of herbaceousness.
Big words over here.
I like it. I like it.
Coming from the kitchen, you know.
But I do get those same vibes out of this beer.
Big bubbles, too.
Yeah.
Big bubbles.
All right. Well, let's take a sip. See if
Do we cheers over here?
we do cheers.
Let's do it.
Cheers.
To Stammer.
To Stammer.
To Stammer. Until Valhalla.
I like it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh my God.
I do like that. What are you getting?
Like I said, like just really like not offensive. I feel like I could pound a bunch of these. This is great. Refreshing.
Well, if you feel that way, I know y'all brought a few extra. I brought a few extra, so we can get to it here. In just a few minutes.
Well, tell me what a good time.
We got a day off tomorrow. We're good.
Right.
Going.
What are you getting out of it?
It's really light. I see myself on the front of an open bow boat rolling about 35 miles an hour down some piece of water, pounding these. These are fucking,
yeah, this is great.
Yeah. That's a summer beer.
I was going to say, it gives me
through.
summertime vibes, yeah.
It kind of reminds me of Dayblazer used to make one. New Belgium used to make a beer called Dayblazer. They don't make it anymore, and it should be a felony, but it kind of reminds me of that.
New Belgium. You heard it here first. Felony is what you have committed. So just letting you know in case somebody comes knocking on your door.
Yeah, it's me.
All right, guys. So let's talk about the band. You're a 5-piece band,
Yes.
which is for at least what I do as far as interviews. It's unique. Normally I do smaller individuals or smaller bands, but you guys are a 5-piece band. How did y'all come together?
It's kind of a convoluted kind of little thing, but Jacob and I met through Facebook, as you do when you move here for music, right? So he put out an ad in a Facebook group. He said, like, I have these songs ready to go, these metal, hardcore type songs ready to go, like looking for a bass player, looking for a guitarist, looking for drums, whatever, to put something together. So I hopped on that instantly. That's my kind of thing. I feel like you don't get a lot of that over here. There's a drought when it comes to heavy bands like that, at least, I think.
Yeah.
So I hopped on that right away, and we started playing together. And then at the same time, Adia, our lead singer, also did the Facebook thing. Like, I have these songs ready to go, I'm looking for a band. So I was trying to, make my mark in this town, kind of. So just trying to play with as many bands as I possibly can. I was doing the downtown thing, and that's fun and all, but I wanted to really do the original song thing. It's a different, you're still playing music, of course, but it's just a different muscle, I feel like, or a different feeling. I don't know. I can't explain it. But so she did that. We met that way. Same thing, practices. The two bands were going on at the same time, different, didn't meet. Stammer was just Adia and I with different members in the beginning. I invited Jacob to our first show, and he was like, this is cool. Like, this, I could see this going somewhere. Long story short, those guys ended up quitting the band, or it didn't work out. So Jacob ended up becoming the guitar player. So that was 3 ready. So me on bass, Adia singing, and guitar. Adia met Cole, and Cole is just I say it all the time, behind his back. I've never said his face, but he's just the most out there guy in the best way possible. I love it. So the way that they met is just so fitting. So they met at a show randomly in the basement. I don't remember who it was, but Adia was there, Cole was there, just talking as friendly people. I guess Adia was just like, yeah, I'm in a band, looking for a guitar player, and Cole was just like, yeah, I'm a guitar player. Like, let's do it. And just, so that's that. So then we were 4. We had another drummer in the beginning, ended up not working out. We held auditions. We were like very serious about it. We went through like 5 or 6 guys, and the first guy that did the audition killed it. Awesome. Jordan, we love you.
Papa.
It is. And, I knew that he killed it, of course. He was the first guy who was so, like, eager to do it. As soon as we said we're looking for a drummer, he was the first guy to reply. He messaged us on all social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, TikTok. He was just so eager to do it. So he was the first one to play, and I was like, everyone was like, as soon as he left, we were talking behind his back, and we were like, what'd you think? And everyone was like, yeah, he killed it. You did a great job. And I was like, well, not like discrediting his playing ability, of course. He fit right in. But I was just like, let's just not get sold on the first guy, of course. We shouldn't do that. Let's have options. But ultimately, it was the best choice. And I think this iteration of the band is what it is and what it should be. So we're really proud of what we've built with this group. So
one day they'll make a movie about it.
yeah, they will. Yeah. We're filming it right now. So.
Yeah, it's like that Kanye documentary where he filmed himself all through his upbringing and then released a documentary about it. And he was, I think it's called Genius.
Well, I think documentaries are, especially about music, I really enjoy those. And I like some of the older stuff where you have the behind the scenes where you have one person walking around with this big camcorder.
Yeah.
And they're filming these bands on the bus or, before they go on stage at these big events, things like that. And that kind of shows a little bit of a different side of the band, and I like it because it's raw.
Yeah.
It's not scripted. The band is, you can tell they're either nervous or they're having a good time or they're on the bus. One guy's drumming up against the window or the dashboard in the bus and the driver's just over there like, really? I got to listen to this again. And then you turn the camera around, you got this guy back here in his bunk just knocked out. There's a quick kind of up in his face and the bus is rocking, stuff like it. It's raw.
We
I
love
like
that kind of stuff. I feel like we get our best content that way is when we're not paying attention.
Candy.
We don't. Yeah.
That's
Totally.
the stuff right there. It's
Well,
gold.
That's one thing I think the indie scene doesn't get a whole lot of. A lot of the behind the scenes, a lot of the just day to day, life of an indie band.
Sure.
It's not all glitz and glamour, that's for sure.
Sure.
God knows.
I mean, especially you guys being in a 5-piece band, it's got to be difficult, with everybody having lives, their own life.
Mm-hmm.
One job, maybe 2 jobs, trying to get everybody together and rehearse and then go in the studio and things. For 5 people, that's got to be a job in and of itself.
Definitely. In the beginning, we tried to make it a point to get everyone involved with every single process, just to be democratic and fair. And I feel like we've been together, this lineup, for this long, so that we can kind of trust each other to make these good decisions with everyone in mind and their best interests now. So now I feel like we don't necessarily need to have everyone there. Like, we were just in the studio this week, and our singer couldn't make it, and we figured out a way to get everything done without them there. And, of course, we would love everyone there all the time, but we got everything we had to do done.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we're, of course, we want it to become a job, and it's music, and we take it seriously, but at the day, we're just friends, and we understand each other as people, and, our quirks, and how to navigate that, together, I think, is how we have gotten this far. Not that we've done anything huge. Of course, we're proud of what we've done, and there's always room to grow, but, I think that's what makes us work and what hopefully comes across through, our social media and our live show and stuff. We like to have fun, and I think that's, what shows, and we're smiling in videos and whatnot, or, I don't know.
Yeah, we definitely, I think, I forgot what I was going to say. No, I didn't. I think what we've prided ourselves on is as we've grown, we've learned, whether it be from successes or from mistakes. And as we've done that, I think it shows a true testament to who's in the band and being able to do that with this group of people. Because, a lot of people either take successes and it goes straight to their head, or they don't learn from their failures. And I think this, we're a group of people that can hold each other accountable, and I think that's a big thing. But also love each other at the same time. That's the biggest part. It's just how much we love each other. I live with Cole, the other guitarist. Like, 80 is over all the time. Steve's over. We get together
down the street. We get together
Yeah.
once a week. We make it an important thing. Like, we have to get together to practice, even if we don't have a show coming up. We just get together, or even if it's not for practice, we see each other on Sundays.
Yeah.
Just
to stay strong.
Yeah.
It's all love, baby.
Well, I mean, it is. You got to be a family to make it work. You got to be a family, especially, at this level, because it's got to be difficult, with other jobs. And I say it again, family, other jobs, other commitments, and there's 5 people. You have to treat it like a family for it to work.
Totally.
And if you get mad at somebody, you get mad, but you get over it. And I think maybe that's what you're alluding to, and especially if you get together every Sunday, that you could call that family time.
Yeah.
And
I think that's a great way of looking at it. So, I mean, we call it practice, but of course, I guess it does mean family time, I guess.
I mean, I think for a lot of us it is, none of us are from here. So to be able to have something that resembles some sort of like support system, I think I speak for everybody, but for me, that's the one day a week I'm like, fuck yes, like I get to see my fucking people. Like this is my jam. After a long week, nothing makes me feel better than a good company. That's what it is. When I finish this beer, do I open another?
You smash it on the floor, actually.
All right, shalom.
You step on it, yeah.
well, actually, if you want to grab that same one right there,
I can do that. That was a good fucking beer.
I like this a lot.
it is enjoyable. And here in a few minutes, we will get to the second beer.
I gotta speed up. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Hey, slow us down,
chug.
Steve. Break out the beer bomb.
Speaking of music, how would you guys classify your band? What genre would you guys, because everybody has to have a genre.
Totally.
Otherwise you won't get any attention. So how would you guys classify the band?
We agree with that. We cannot, you'll never please everyone, right? You can't consolidate it down to one genre. We are influenced by just rock in general, hard rock. We like shoegaze, noisy guitars and production, stuff like that. But we also love just a good pop song, right? I think at the end of the day, this is just my thought, but we strive to write pop songs with a rock, shoegaze kind of edge. So, we try, you could sing along to these songs. You know what the vocals are. They're up front, rather than the classic shoegaze kind of thing, like very loud and the shoegaze or the vocals are buried in the background. You don't know what's going on, which is great. We love that kind of stuff, but we kind of try to blend the two together, make it accessible because it is kind of a niche thing. So just good songs with a great vocal melody and just big guitars and big drums and bass and everything like that, like great intensity. So a good balance between accessibility and intensity, I guess.
I think the intensity part, what we were working on this week and what we have off mixing right now, I think does bring in, I don't want to say a new level of intensity, but maybe a different flavor of intensity. I think our EP that just released, go stream it, I think it was intense, but I think it was an intense way, an intense in a way of emotional. I don't want to say distress, but there was an emotionality to it that was very intense. So whatever, it's almost like we have chapters, and each chapter has a certain level of intensity, but across the board, our live shows is kind of what we.
That's what we pride ourselves in.
Yeah.
I think that's our number one thing. So if you don't listen to us on streaming, come to a live show and you'll understand what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So you would say, and correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe hard pop rock or energetic pop rock?
Say hard pop gaze.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there.
We on our socials we say dream / gaze / rock. So dream pop, shoegaze, and rock.
I get the dream and the rock
Yes.
when I listen to the music. And for me, that's what just kind of steps up.
Mm-hmm.
And the videos I have seen, I kind of approach watching those videos with that mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it does solidify that more in my head. So that's how I see it, you know, but it's your band, it's your music, it's your art. You know, you put a name on it.
Sure.
I think beauty's in the eye of a beholder. You know, someone might look at Mona Lisa and see something completely different, or see her looking at a different way. Not to compare ourselves to Mona Lisa, but you know, interpretation is just a part of art. You know, I think people will hear different things or see different things if it's visual art or something like that. So, I think that's the cool thing about art, is you never know what sort of interpretation you're gonna get, whether it be music or, again, visual art. Mona Lisa.
Well, I think with music, you know, as a band, you write your songs, you practice your songs, you get together and make it happen. So by the time I, as a consumer, hear it for the first time, you guys have already put your stamp on it and said, this is what this song is.
Yeah.
This is what this song means. Because obviously it means something to y'all. I'm hearing it for the first time. I may not get the whole thing. I may not get the whole story. Depends on what I'm doing when I hear it the first time. I may completely miss, you know, the what it's supposed to be. But maybe the instruments make me feel a certain way. So that kind of drives my interpretation of what the song is.
So that's exactly how I view music, just in general. I'm not moved by lyrics at all. I don't hear lyrics when I'm listening to a song. Obviously, I can read along and know what they're saying, but if I'm singing along to a song that I've heard 5,000 times, like any classic rock song, and I'm saying the words, it's just a melody coming out of my mouth, if that makes sense. Even if, you know, I know the words that I'm saying, but I don't register them as like, this is what they're saying, this is what they mean. When I sing along to a song, it's almost like I'm doing a guitar lick or something that I've heard thousands of times. So I'm not moved by lyrics. So when we write this song, or any of our songs, I always, internally, I think, am I moved by what the instrumentation is doing and the dynamics? Because if I can be moved by just that, then a consumer that also registers lyrics will be doubly moved if the instrumentation and the lyrics are there. So my job in the band, right, I guess this is my self-appointed job, I always try to make sure that the music is there first to then emphasize the lyrics, so then that can come across and somebody can grab that. So, you know, sometimes I come off as a hard ass that way, but I always try to make sure that somebody can be grabbed by the music. That's just how I see songs. I don't get lyrics. So what you're saying before, it's just interesting to me. I hope people can be grabbed by the musicality and the whole production in the big picture rather than just the lyrics or just the whatever, just what the drums are doing, just what the guitar is doing in this moment. It's really the whole big picture, and we always encourage people to listen to our entire album EP as a whole because it tells a whole story, like you were saying before. Like there's an emotion behind it, and you kind of, everyone says to stream their whole thing, but I really think that if you want to understand the whole picture of Stammer to this point, you have to know the whole thing as a collective.
So, is everybody involved with writing the music?
Yeah.
Yes. To start, when I said Adia put her Facebook post out, she had a bunch of songs ready to go. So when we played our first show, we maybe did like 5 or 6 original songs with 2 or 3 covers. So maybe from that batch, 2 or 3 carried over into what Stammer is now. So in the beginning, it was very much Adia had songs written, and then everyone would, kind of say how they thought it would go, or like add their, ideas here and there, and then it would become something new, which is great about music in general, right? We all present ideas, we all present riffs or a chorus or whatever. You hear it a certain way in your head, and then when you present it, you never know where it's going to go because someone's going to add something totally different you never even thought of. And I feel like that's how a lot of, or all of our songs, frankly, have gone and turned into what they are now.
So do you feel like your part in writing the songs is more of the making the instruments up front or making the instruments stronger and maybe not leaning so much on the vocals?
I think at the end of the day, our main goal is always to let Adia's vocal shine. I think that is the one thing, like, people always gravitate towards that, or they compliment her, the vocals or the performance, right? So we know as a band collectively that is the thing. But of course we want to support that, and we all have our time to shine and stuff. As a bass player, just in general, you understand to kind of sit back and let everybody else shine. But we all have our spots to, do something cool, flashy, or whatever. So we've gotten really good at that, and I feel like we have matured as songwriters to let other people take the spotlight, But at the end of the day, of course, we want the vocals to be at the forefront.
Do you guys feel like your music tells a story?
I think if you asked Adia that question, she would 100% yes. I wouldn't dare speak for her, but being that her and I are so close, like the past couple of songs she's like, I'll send a guitar riff and she'll come over and we'll record scratch vocals or something like that, and I'll hear the vocals and I'll ask her questions, and I think she writes a story sometimes without realizing she does. Like Weird Pearl, to me, like lyrically, that one is just, it blew my mind when I first read the lyrics.
What is so interesting to me is that I see it as a story, but I don't see it as a story because of the lyrics, just because of how my brain works. So I've played the song probably 50 times, right? But I have no idea what the lyrics are. Of course, we have them written down in our group chat or whatever. I have no idea what's going on, but I'm equally as moved by the song as you are.
Yeah,
which is I just think it's interesting and fantastic.
It's like to Steve's point of like our instrumentation. Like if you read the lyrics, you're like, this is crazy. Like this is really awesome. This is really good lyricism. So then when you add the element of like being able to ride a wave lyrically, get back on the board, listen to it again, and then also ride the wave of music, it's like buy one get one free. It's like
yeah, for sure.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
What?
Cheers.
It seems like when you guys write a song, or just, what I've heard, I guess, out of this conversation so far is that you write a song collectively and you don't approach it. How can I phrase it? You write a song together. You don't take an idea and then just have 5 different takes on that same idea and then come up with one. Okay, I guess I can agree this time on this song, but next time you got to give me a little leeway. And you guys,
I don't think we think like that, where it's like, well, you get a spotlight this time, next song it's kind of...
yeah, that's what
Is that
I'm
what
saying.
you're
You don't approach a
No.
song as in, you take an idea and then kind of go away and then come back together
Sure.
on Sunday with 5 different ideas of that idea.
So, admittedly, as a band, we're kind of scatterbrained when it comes to ideas. Inspiration hits at different times.
Well, of course.
For me, it's like late at night, every few weeks or something. Jacob, Adia, like boom, 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 ideas like all the time, which is great. We've learned that the best way for us to complete a task or a song is to just have someone kind of sculpt it for the most part themselves and then present it to everybody else, right? Because the way that I write, I can write only one riff or something, which is 10, 15 seconds, right? You can't really build a whole song off of that. I mean, you can, but for us, I feel like we need to have the blueprints of a song presented before we all get on board and we complete it that way. That's the best way for us to really get stuff out.
And then from there, I think you said it perfectly. From there, once you have that, like you're building a house, once you have the foundation laid,
Exactly.
God forbid you pour a slab, but once you build a foundation, everybody takes their own interpretation of that with a general idea and purpose in mind, and then we just go from there. The last 5 songs, that's been kind of the method, give or take a song or two, but
Just,
pull this mic.
yeah, a little bit closer to you.
Oh,
That's pretty good.
Yeah, pull it just a little bit closer to you.
Sure.
That should work.
Cool.
I'm sorry, I
No,
didn't
you're
mean
good.
to
No.
interrupt.
so anyway, when you're building a house, no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, that's kind of the thing that seems to be working, and the products that are coming out of it are something that we all love and more importantly believe in. So
Well, I mean, you need to believe in your music. Otherwise, what's the
if you don't believe in it yourself, who's going to believe in it, right?
Exactly. Exactly. You can't convince someone to love you if you don't love yourself.
Totally.
Can't convince someone to love your song if you don't love it.
And I think that we all kind of realize that, and that was how we get through our live shows and why we put on such great performances. Not to toot our own horn, but that's, I think, the main idea of Stammers is come to the live show and you'll understand the emotion behind the songs and the intensity and everything. So you can really see us, performing it and showing off the full vision. But, if we all have off days, but you got to realize, this is the collective. So, and at the end of the day, we're here to present our songs and put on the best possible product. So I just hope that it comes across and people can hop on board with our stuff, and connect with us through our live shows. And honestly, that's how I feel like we've gotten the most traction is we play a show and someone will find us on social media and they'll say like, oh, I saw you guys online and I, saw you playing a show and I came out and I followed you. I don't know. I just feel like we grow, of course with every show, performance-wise and comfortability and stuff, but I don't know. I feel like our numbers grow and our confidence grows and I don't know.
So the emotion at the show, the performance is not just a performance. It's not you're just putting on a show. The energy and the vibe that you're putting out is real. It's not just something to entertain the crowd.
Totally. That is my job. Is I do music professionally, like playing covers downtown, in Nashville, and I can do that no problem. I've been doing it for years. But when I play a Stammer show, I get nervous every single time. It takes every ounce of my being to be present and to be there and to let the intensity come out. And I don't sing, for my day job, but I do with Stammer. I've been excited to try and do it, so I really have to think and be there to let everything come across and put on the best performance and jump around and have a good time and stuff. So I really sometimes overthink, to a fault, but I don't know. I there's something special about our live show, and of course, doing it with people you love and fans that we love that,
Shout out to Bean.
To Bean and to Cairo and the whole Dark Horse crew, that people that are dedicated to coming to our shows. And I feel like that's what keeps us going right now. We just have a great time.
It's like that Bob Seger song. It's the one.
Turn the page.
Turn the page. Yeah. You got to get out there and put yourself out there, Leave a little bit of yourself on the stage. That's what I do. A lot of it's alcohol driven, but I stand by it.
Well, do you feel that every time you say you leave a little something on the stage, do you feel like every time you step off the stage, you can legitimately say to yourself, I gave it 110%?
Oh, yeah.
Every time.
Admittedly, no, sometimes, which sucks to say. Sometimes I just, me as a
Breaking
individual.
news.
Yeah, you heard it here first.
Yeah.
Just me as an individual, I just, I think that's, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I get in my head about stuff sometimes, or everyone can do that, and I just feel like you let that overtake you sometimes, and you think it's, I already wasn't feeling good, or maybe there's not enough people here in the crowd, so I don't really have to try as hard, and I know I recognize that that's not healthy, but I feel like the reality of the situation is that happens sometimes, which,
Well, it's going to.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't be perfect all the time.
Should be, though.
No,
I'm just kidding.
we're only human.
Sure. And I think that's something that people in a crowd can gravitate towards. You could relate with that. If it's a super polished show, of course that's great. But honestly, I feel like when people in the crowd see an error or a mistake, it kind of shows that the band on this elevated stage literally is, at the same level as you. And I feel like you can relate with that. And I think, it's really interesting. And I feel like you can get more people to relate with that and then just be into that. I don't know.
Well, I think as a consumer, if I know a song, I'm a huge fan, I follow you, been to multiple shows. If I see you make a mistake, but you move past it, like you don't even really acknowledge the mistake, and the rest of the band just, everybody's not just turned looking at you like,
right.
What are you doing? Everybody just kind of rolls on past it. I think that's cool to see, because it shows that you are human. You are going to make a mistake.
Absolutely.
But you did not let that mistake stop you. You just rolled on through. You made your mistake. You picked up. You kept going. Or I've seen bands make mistakes, and actually the person that made the mistake kind of just went with it and turned it into a thing.
Yeah.
And the rest of the band, you could see they were kind of thrown off a little bit, but they went ahead and just went with it. And it just turned it into so much fun because, like, where's this going to go?
Right.
Spontaneity, baby.
But they had done it enough in practice and made fun of each other in practice that it was kind of easy for them to do it live. And then they kind of, once they had their fun, they stopped the song, talked a little bit about it, poked fun at each other, had some laughs, rolled into the rest of the set, and it just worked out.
Totally.
That looked like a ton of fun.
Well, and then at that point, it doesn't even come off as a mistake.
Right.
Which I think is great. And, I think every show, we all make mistakes, it's going to happen. It's not a big deal. But in your own head, you think it's the end of the world. And everybody caught it, or everyone is thinking about it, or whatever. But, when I say, like, oh, do you remember when I messed up this part? And you're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I didn't hear it. So if the person on the stage with you didn't catch it, then chances are someone in the back of the room didn't even hear it.
Yeah.
So
more than likely not.
Yeah.
And even if they did and you recover from it, even by the end of the show, they're not going to remember it.
Right.
Or if they do remember it, it's not going to be the one thing that just sticks in their head.
Yeah.
They'll say, okay, he or she made a mistake here. But the rest of the show was just on point and entertaining and just energetic. And they've already talked themselves out of recognizing that mistake.
Totally.
I've done that at a million different shows. And, it's not on purpose. I'm not looking for it. It just, something happens like, whoa, wow, okay. But they recovered, kept going. The rest of the show, it was fine. Hey, such and such did this, but then you see all the good things that happen. Everybody's only human. I mean, you can practice 7 days a week, 8 hours a day. You're still going to mess up.
Yeah.
There's adrenaline pumping, right?
Yeah.
You get nervous in front of a crowd or whatever. You can't hear yourself, or there's always going to be something. So I think we're really good at recovering.
Yeah.
Like I said, everyone makes mistakes every show, and that's just part of the Stammer show, and that's the humanity in it. So, and I think that's relatable and fun and energetic. So we've learned to recover from that. Thankfully we practice once a week, so we're tight and we understand the music and what the goal is to put out into the crowd with the live show. But if we make a mistake, we know to roll with it. Our drummer's on a click, so if something happens, like, we'll just get back on at the next beat and we move past it.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes.
It's like eating at a restaurant. Server might be shit because you're in Nashville and they don't really care. But the food's great, And then if you can compartmentalize your hatred for that piece of shit waiter and enjoy the steak that's in front of you, it was a great experience. That's how I see it.
Stammer is a steak.
Yeah, we're the steak on the sizzling tray at Chili's.
Sure.
Yeah, who needs STK or any of those Michael Mina places?
Okay, so where do I fit in? Am I that waiter that you want to forget about?
No, not at all. You're the cute host that you walk in.
Yeah,
You're
you're
like,
the
"All right."
potatoes on the side.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. First time I've ever wanted to be potatoes, but I'll go with it. Speaking of potatoes, I know it has nothing to do with this, but I'm ready to jump into this
Let's
next
do it.
beer.
Yeah.
Let's do it. I might have to go to Tinkletown here soon.
Oh. You think I'm strong enough to do a twist off?
If you are, I'll marry you.
All right. So while you guys are figuring out how to open this beer, this one also is from Nashville Brewing Company. This is a amber lager. It is 5.2% ABV, brewed by Nashville Brewing Company in Nashville, Tennessee.
Pre-prohibition style.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's racist.
Well, actually, I'll tell you, Nashville Brewing Company, and where it says established 1859, that's when the original Nashville Brewing Company was established. And if you knew the history of beer in Nashville, it would blow your mind.
Was
That-
beer a big thing in Nashville?
I don't know.
Way back in the day.
Where they couldn't make whiskey, so they were like, all right.
Well, Kentucky was trying to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, no, actually, I don't remember exactly the history, but Nashville did brew beer for more than just Nashville and just Tennessee. It was a thriving industry at
Really?
one time.
Would companies like subsidize? Because I know like Pappy Van Winkle will like subsidize Buffalo Trace, and they'll make their batch of Pappy at Buffalo Trace distilleries. Is that something that's maybe kind of similar in that situation?
Well,
Because there's no Anheuser-Busch or anything out here.
Nashville was brewing. They had different breweries, of course, but some Nashville Brewing Company was the big one. And they were brewing their beer.
That's really cool.
And just like they are now, they're brewing their beer and sending it out, and you can get it. I don't know how far it reaches, but it was the same back then. Nashville Brewing was reaching out, and they're brewing beer every day, all day, and it's moving. It was a big deal back then, and then prohibition and things happen like what's happening to my beer right now. I need to go ahead and get this one in a glass.
Yeah.
Pre-prohibition. You think it talks like this? Yeah? You'll never catch me, Captain.
So if
Extra.
you guys put on a show on stage, what is probably the funniest thing or the most unique thing you've seen out in the crowd
Ooh.
while y'all are performing a show?
We haven't seen any no flashing or nothing like that
Yeah,
yet.
come on.
Yeah, we're still waiting for that. I mean, I think the coolest thing for me was, I guess at the last show, the little bit of a mosh pit that I opened up. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm a big metal guy, so when I see, I'm like, oh yeah.
I think at this stage in our careers, it's very fulfilling to see people sing along to our songs.
Mm-hmm.
This was at our last show, the EP release show. So the EP had been out for a day, and we'd released singles as well, and some of those singles made it onto the EP. We're using EP and an album interchangeably. We didn't know the language of it because I don't know. But anyway, the release came out, and our first song came out in April of last year. So and we've been playing. I don't know. We haven't even played like 50 shows total. So it's just, I think it's great that people know what we're saying and singing it back to us. I think that's the best feeling right now. I don't know. I know it's not funny necessarily, but it's a great feeling to see that, to see people engage with the music, and even seeing the same people come out to the shows, because I feel like it's hard to get people interested in music. Especially a live show, it takes a lot to, literally get yourself out of bed and drive your car and pay the $10, $15 to be at a show for hours at a time. So to see the same people, or anybody actually, to come out to our shows, we just are so grateful to have anybody come out and be moved by our music. Is just a great feeling.
Okay. Do you think your music is worth the $10 to $15 that each person pays?
Hell yeah.
Yes. When you're paying that, you're not paying for just the sonic experience, right? It's the whole experience of you being present there. It's not just us. There's multiple bands, of course. but it's the experience of hearing the music come at you out of the amps, and you're pushing the air, and you're physically being moved, and you're dancing, and we're dancing, so hopefully it makes other people move. So it's not just you're there, listening, and you're totally fine to do that if you want to do that at a Stammer show, but I feel like you're paying for the experience, and we get it. Of course, we don't want to be paying to go see live music, but I think you're getting more than just hearing music, and someone who's not into music and going to live shows won't necessarily understand you're paying for more than just seeing a band play or listening to their songs, if that makes sense.
It does. And the reason I ask is because, of course, I would hope you would say, yes, our music is worth $10, $15. Our music is worth a $30 ticket or a $40 ticket, because what that tells me and what that tells everybody else is that you are putting everything into your song.
Totally.
If you agree and say, I think $10 is a good fee to come. Well, if you think $10 is it doesn't sound like you're really putting everything into it. You should easily say, oh, it's worth $20, $30, $40.
Sure. I think we're just so confident in our show that we don't even expect, to be paid. Like, we understand that when people come to our shows, if they're on the guest list or if they end up paying themselves, that they're going to want to come to another show. I think that's how confident we are in our show and the songs and how it makes people feel. And we have people coming out, the same kind of people coming to every show, and we've been spacing them out kind of recently, maybe once or twice a month, and we get the same kind of people, which is great, and we're very happy about. We get that, and we get people who are interested in buying merch, people who have already bought merch. Again, not to toot our own horn, but I think that's our thing. There's always something different to expect at a Stammer show. You're not going to be leaving with the same feeling you felt the previous show, and I think there's just staying power, and it gets people excited to come to the next show. Not seeing us live once and you're like, okay, well, I heard him. That's fine. That's it. I don't need to see him anymore. I think there's more to us than just the music, and of course we're proud of the music and the recordings and the mixes that are on social media, but again, it's just a small piece of the puzzle for our whole story, I guess.
Side note, it just hit me, probably the coolest thing that we have experienced at a show. There was a gentleman who came to a show at the Cobra who was trying to break the world record for most shows attended in a year, and he attended our show. That was interesting. No, it was the East Room. Excuse me.
I remember that.
Yeah, that he had to go to like 4 shows a day for 365 days. That is a commitment.
That's a lot.
That was really cool. I apologize. I didn't mean to.
No.
That's a little bit
Right.
more than a job.
Yeah, that's
360.
yeah.
Oh
days
my
off.
gosh.
Yeah. I don't know if he achieved it, but I hope he did. Whoever you are.
The overload on music.
It's a lot.
Okay. All right, guys. While I think about how I can possibly not break that record, we're going to go to a quick intermission.
Sweet.
All right, so while they are at break, I figured I'd come in here and let you know a little bit about myself. My name is Harkos. I not only edit this episode, but every episode here on Two Beers with the Band podcast. But aside from that, I also have my own podcast called Music Making Sense Podcast, where it's all about music marketing, branding, and how to have success. Real success as an independent artist. Every single week I launch a brand new episode breaking down different struggles that independent artists go through and giving them tips and tricks to help overcome all of that in a DIY fashion without the artist having to worry about selling their soul for virality or signing their life away to a label. Every single week I dive deep into all these issues, and I even have a Wednesday night live stream where I play independent artist music from all genres all across the world. Me and the people who have joined the live stream will check out the music, break it down, let us know what we think about it, give positives and negatives and everything like that, as well as, if it's your first time coming around, I will do a deep dive on your social media accounts and making sure that you're using social media properly. I'll give you tips and tricks on how to do that better as well too. So if you're an independent artist, or you happen to know an independent artist who could use some help in the realm of marketing, have them check out musicmakingsensepod.com, where you'll find all the information about Music Making Sense Podcast. I'm available on all platforms, and the Wednesday night live stream is exclusively over on YouTube, so make sure y'all like, share, follow, and subscribe to Music Making Sense Pod at musicmakingsensepod.com. I got to get going. They're coming back. Make sure y'all keep on tuning in for the rest of this episode. It's a pretty good one. But hey, anyway, musicmakingsensepod.com. They're coming back. All right.
If people knew how much time and effort and money that y'all spend on putting on shows and practicing, and what it costs to make videos and have your songs recorded and mixed, and just if people knew what y'all were putting into it, I think they'd be happy to pay the $20 for a t-shirt and whatever you're charging for a CD. And when it comes to a place like Bandcamp and you're saying I'm selling this EP or this song for like $7, they would love to jump on there and say, oh, I'll give you $20-$30 for that download or whatever, because they know how much you're putting into it. Now other bands and other artists, they know that, of course, but
civilians don't.
Right. Just somebody showing up to the show, they're like, man, it cost me $15 to park and $10 to get in the door. It's $25, and I've had to buy a beer on top of that. This better be a good show.
Which is why we're so grateful for the people that come to all the shows, and they're spending the money to get in and the park. And we've had people buy multiple shirts, which is crazy. And we haven't had a lot of shirts out, so it's like they're either buying the same one twice or something, or I don't know. It's just a great.
Or maybe it's that fan's way of saying this band or this show is worth this to me, so I'm gonna support.
And we love that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna support my band, the best way I can. And if you don't have a donation platform set up on any of your socials, they can go out there and buy the merch. I mean, on your socials, can I go to your Instagram or YouTube or wherever and actually buy merch?
That is something, we're trying to figure out, because we've done it with our other band, so it's kind of like a made-to-order situation. So he bought a bunch in bulk to have the physical product and then sell it after the fact. We're kind of trying to figure out, okay, is the quality going to be there if we set it made to order? Because we trust the shirts that we have physically right now when we buy them in bulk, but we would love to have an online shop set up, because we do get people online being like, well, where can I buy some merch? Where can I get this?
It'll come all in due time.
Well,
it's like a learning curve.
I've noticed that a lot of bands have merch available, but it's only at the show. And
that's the situation we're in now. Because it's, things to consider, like revenue streams. Are they going to outweigh your net or your overheads? If so, are we going to channel that into personal accounts, or are you going to open an LLC so you can write things off on your taxes but claim that as revenue? There's so many different ways to go about it. And right now these next couple months are a little slow for us, so we're going to take that as an opportunity to expand and learn.
We need to commit to something, but we don't want to be stupid about it. Kind of,
Right.
we know we've made mistakes in the past with other things, but we don't. This is something that I feel like is very important. We'll set us up for success in the future, so we don't want to choose the wrong thing right now. So that's kind of where we're at.
All
at the
in due
moment.
time.
But we'll figure it out.
Well, I mean, it's a learning process, or you could just hand somebody money and say, here, fix this,
Right.
But if you can figure it out on your own, or maybe just asking questions,
Yeah.
seeing who is already where you want to be, they're already there. Just, hey, I see y'all have an online store. How's that doing? And not trying to dig too deep into it, get real personal, just some general questions.
Yeah.
It'd probably surprise you what people will
Sure.
just tell you any and everything without you even asking,
Yeah.
because they see you're where they were and they don't want you to make the same mistakes that they made.
Totally.
So they're going to go ahead and give you a little gold nugget and say, don't do this. It sounds right and you think it's right, but you lose money.
Right.
Do this instead.
Yeah.
It's a little bit slower, but in the long run,
It pays off.
yeah. And if you could find someone that could do that or would do that, man, that would save you so much time.
We talked about that a few weeks ago, like figuring out a personal budget for everyone rather than dipping into the band fund to like set a budget so that we can pay someone to do these things, because we're experiencing burnout with us within the band personally doing things like that. So we'd rather just put it off to someone else that we don't have to worry about it and we trust will do a good job, so then we can get those experiences in the future.
Yeah, it's all in due time.
Yeah.
It's just part about learning and figuring out the situation. Everything in life's so situational. You just gotta kind of cross the bridge when you get to it. So when we get there, we'll get there.
Okay. All
Speaking
right.
of getting there, let's fucking get to the here.
Let's go ahead and jump in. Let's take a quick whiff of this beer, and guys.
I was going to
tell
say,
me
we
what you
stepped
get.
away for a few minutes and this thing is still bubbling up, so that's a good sign.
Last time I sniffed beer this hard, it actually went up my nose. That was at 4 o'clock. No, I'm just kidding. I might need
I feel like I need to like waterboard myself to really understand what it's smelling like and what's going on.
kill me with beer. Okay, this is way different nose.
Way different, really?
Yeah.
I can tell that they're in the same family. It obviously looks darker, right? But I can tell with my nose that it's going to taste darker. And then you
Yeah.
can't really explain what darker tastes like necessarily, but that's what I think it's going to taste like.
It's got more of that malt, like
Okay.
less fruit nose. Like
You're the descriptor. You got the you got the vocab.
the juxtaposition. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, it is going to be a little more malty. Should have less of a fruit vibe, but what I'm really looking for is when you smell the beer. If, for example, you said you smelled apple, earlier you said you smell grain. Well, when you taste the beer, do you get those same?
Does the nose match the palate?
Yeah. And I think one of the things I'm really looking for is, don't take this the wrong way, but people like you smelling a beer and getting the flavor and it matching, because you don't necessarily know what you're looking for. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just drinking the things. I'm not picky, so maybe I'm new to
Well,
this. But
and ultimately, do you like the beer?
I will, yeah.
So, I would hate to bring a beer and you guys say, "Oh, this is awful."
We're beer guys,
Yeah, I
When
don't
we-
drink IPAs. That
Really?
shit tastes like ass.
I like it all. I like IPA. My favorite beer of all time is the Homestyle, from Bearded Iris. I love it.
My neighbor's favorite beer of all time is
I
Homestyle.
love it. Citrusy. It's strong. You can't do it. It's too strong.
Dude, that shit makes me want that.
Really?
It puts too much lead in my pencil. You know
Okay.
what I mean? Like, that shit is not.
Okay.
My dad used to call them PPAs because they taste like piss. Is what he said.
Well, an IPA is not generally something you just jump into and you love. It's an acquired taste, I think.
That's what I did, though,
and
which is so interesting to me. Like I said, I'm clearly not advanced when it comes to descriptors of beer, but I'm not picky, and I just like that beer. And
Do you like grapefruits?
yes and no, I don't
Okay.
love it.
Because to me, when I almost, and I hate to say this because I'm a chef, but almost across the board, when I drink an IPA, I might as well have just bitten into a fucking grapefruit rind. Like, every time. It's so bitter,
I love it.
so citrusy.
well, a lot of IPAs, both West Coast and East Coast IPAs, are going to bring the Citra.
Also, what's the difference? Like, is one listening to fucking Pac and the other is listening to Biggie? Like, what's the difference in the ice? Like,
I've never thought about it, but we should research this. Someone out there knows the answer.
one's crip
That's
walking,
good.
the
and
other's.
I need to know the answer. Well, the West Coast IPA is going to be a little more grassy. It's going to be more
Okay, more herbaceous, less citrusy.
correct.
Okay.
It's going to be a little more piney, a little more grassy, where an East Coast is going to be a little more lean a little more towards the citrus. You're going to get you're going to get the grapefruit. The grapefruit, at least for me, is a little more prominent in the East Coast, where it's there in the West Coast, but it's kind of like it shows up and then it goes away real quick.
So, as a
And-
beer drinker, which do you what? All right. So, when you have East Coast, West Coast, what's the epitome of an East Coast IPA, and what's the antithesis to that being the epitome of a West Coast IPA? Do you have like just
If you-
spitfire?
If you hand me an IPA and say, this is a West Coast IPA, West Coast hazy IPA, and that's all you tell me. You don't tell me anything else. I'm going to sniff the beer. There are certain things my brain is already looking for.
Right.
So I've kind of labeled the beer in my head of what I expect already, which is going to be, it's going to be a little more piney. It's going to be a little more grassy. It's going to have, I'm not going to say a different mouthfeel because it shouldn't.
Right. It's the
But-
same style of beer, so it should be pretty
Yeah.
similar in that.
And it's not going to have a different mouthfeel. It might, but it shouldn't.
Yeah.
But I've already in my head labeled it to be a little more hop forward.
Okay.
Where an East Coast IPA, if you hand me a hazy East Coast IPA, I'm already going to say it should be a little more citrus leaning. I'm going to get a little more grapefruit and or orange pith in this beer. So when I smell the beer, my brain is automatically going to look for those aromas. And when I taste the beer, my brain is going to look for those flavors. Even if I tell myself, I'm going to break this beer down. The first one, I may sit there, okay, East Coast IPA. Well, I know more than likely how it's going to should taste. And I'm going to go ahead and just start drinking them. Very few have just stepped out and been, okay, it's good.
Yeah.
It's different, but it's a good beer. So usually a West Coast and an East Coast IPA are going to be a little bit different. You know, for someone who doesn't know,
Right.
who's like, man, I like IPA. What kind? I like IPA.
He's talking to me.
That all they know is when they pick that beer up and it says IPA. Okay, cool, that's for me. I like it. And they, they look for certain things, and they're going to find that in an American IPA, West Coast IPA, East Coast IPA, Tennessee IPA. I mean, there's so many different versions of an IPA
It's crazy.
that someone who doesn't know anything about beer that says, yeah, I like IPA, they're going to find those same flavors in that beer no matter where it comes from.
Yeah.
Unless it is something that just out here on the outer edge and only able to classify itself as an IPA, based off this one itty bitty thing, but it's so way out over here,
That's
So-
kind of like wine too, like New World versus Old World. Prime example is like Pinot Noir. They'll say, I want a Pinot Noir. They want a red. They don't want something that's real heavy, but they still want it red. Well, do you want Burgundian or do you want some fucking stuff from Oregon that's just pretty much Welch's grape juice?
Well, that is true. You can.
I can't stand American grapes.
All right.
Speaking of grapes, let's try this beer.
Yeah, exactly.
If it doesn't taste like grapefruit, I don't want it. I'm kidding. It's delicious.
All right, what are you getting on that one?
Honestly, I still have the taste from my beers from earlier, so I need to kind of like focus on it and really, because to me it just tastes like beer, and I get to be like that, but I haven't had enough beer to drink this and be like, well, that is this, right? I'm very much an A-B kind of guy, and like I promise this is connected, but I'm colorblind also. So when people say, well, what colors can't you see? I always say, like, well, if two colors are next to each other, I can tell they're different, obviously. But, like, if I'm looking at something head on, I can't tell if that's a green or a light green versus a yellow or a purple versus a blue. So to me, because this one is not filled up right now, and I can't be like, well, I'm trying this one versus this one, what's different about it? To me, it's very much, oh, this is beer. I can tell it's not an IPA, obviously, because I know that's, heavy or grapefruity, like we were saying. But like to me, it's just they're the same style of beer. They taste very similar to me. I can't really,
This one, to me, I had a comment on that, actually. I don't know.
You gonna roast me?
No. I was curious. This is sweeter. It's got more of a caramel, more almost deeper flavor in the center of my palate. Less bitter, for sure.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
it comes from being that sweetness. Kind of the same in the ballpark of the herbaceousness. I think they're both pretty malt heavy, or whatever grain they use. It seems to be the same.
This one is going to be a little more malt forward. And I think the malt is going to present itself in a different fashion. It's going to, at least for me, I'm getting the malt flavor changes a little bit. It's not just here it is and then it just kind of goes away.
Mm-hmm.
It comes on, lets you know it's there. Then it changes subtly, not suddenly, or maybe both, I don't know. And then it goes away slow, but that flavor lingers for me. And that's what I enjoy about this beer, is that the malt changes just a little bit, but it's not overly sweet.
Yeah, it's like a good woman.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Changes subtly, but not
Yeah,
overly
nothing
sweet.
crazy.
Right. Or maybe you want one that's a little crazy.
Hey, temptation's a son of a bitch. Man, you should be able to smoke cigarettes in here. I ain't gonna lie. Little cigs inside, that'd be the perfect touch. Or cigar.
I'm a cigar bourbon guy. I can't enjoy cigars and beer. I've tried it. My brain just says no.
Do you have are you specifically bourbon?
Prefer. Okay. Wow. Let's not go down this rabbit hole, but I prefer a good rye with a real dark cigar.
Okay. So you like the spicier side of that stuff.
I do lean towards the spicier. And my palate has just changed and gone that direction. Wow, probably last year and a half.
No kidding.
Prior to that, a real super dark cigar, just looking at it would turn my stomach. It really would. And I've run across a couple of blends, and then I just jumped into a real heavy dark cigar one night, and I had a good rye, and it just
Paired well.
wow. I mean, I had that before dinner, and that was a huge mistake because I didn't have dinner. I just went to bed and woke up at like 3:00 in the morning starving to death.
Yeah.
So
Do you think maybe? Well, I always find this very interesting because like every 11 years, a person's palate changes. So like kids when they're growing up, they don't like greens because chlorophyll registers as really bitter on a child's tongue. But when they hit 11 years old, they start to change and they start to integrate more. They start to eat romaine lettuce or probably iceberg because that's America right now. But so it's interesting. So before you got into the spicier, darker side of life, whiskey?
wow, I was fixing to say what you just
Yeah.
you just labeled me, and I'm not sure if I might be that guy. I'm gonna have to think about it.
But did you go through? Did you build up to it, or like did you?
Yes.
When you were 11 years old and you had your first rye, how did
Yeah,
you
like
Yeah.
when you were 10 and you're
and I had my first cigar and bourbon pairing.
exactly. No, that's awesome. I love whiskey. Jack Daniels.
Not for me. I'm a beer guy. That's it. And I don't even know anything about beer, but I know that beer's my thing, and that's it.
Well, you know what? If you know you like beer, and you know what kind of beer you like, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
You like IPAs?
I'm all over the place. I like this stuff. You know,
Steel
this
Reserve.
this hits the spot, but I also like my IPAs. I like my stouts and the super dark ones.
You ever had Dragon's Milk?
Yeah, we had it somewhere. Remember.
Oh shit, that's
at the
right.
gig?
Yeah. I drank a 4-pack of those one time, and man,
It's good.
that
In the winter,
put me down.
It was cold out. It hits the spot. I feel like
You drank 4 of those back to back.
I mean, I don't have 4 of those. I
It
had 1 or
put
2.
me
But
down.
I was fixing to say we need to talk because I had one, and I was reaching for that second one, and the adult side of my brain kicked in and said, "Let's not do this."
that was before show too, so I'm a little concerned. I didn't realize.
No, I didn't know. I had Dragon's Milk.
He is that good of an artist that he zoned completely out and still performed. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm getting there. You give me about 4 G&Ts before a show. We're cooking with butter at that point. Now, that Dragon's Milk, that shit'll that'll separate the men from the boys.
Yeah, well, you got to know what you're getting into before you get into that.
Yeah, it turned me into a boy is really what I'm getting at. That shit. Oh my God, I felt like crap for the next 2 days.
Well, you also need to know what kind of beer it is. I mean, there's certain beers you need to respect going in.
Is it a stout, Dragon's Milk, or a porter?
It has been so long.
It's a boy, yeah. I know it's dark.
It's one of the two, right? It's
Yeah.
the darkest.
I don't know what it says on the label, if it's stout or porter. Either way,
I feel like it's malt liquor. Like, I feel like I drank that. I might as well have Steel Reserve. Like,
Okay, what is the highest ABV beer you've ever had?
I'll be honest. When I drink, I don't really. When I drink beer, I never look. I think Dragon's Milk because correct me if I'm wrong, that's somewhere up 13, 14, 12 maybe.
I think it's around 12, if I'm not mistaken.
And I know some like double hazies, IPAs get pretty up there, don't they?
Yeah, they'll. I had one. It was a barrel aged beer.
Jeez.
I can't tell you what the name of it was. I cannot because someone said, "Try this." 14.2% ABV.
Did you sign a waiver before?
I should have because it was an 8-ounce pour towards the end of it was the end of my evening.
Jeez.
It was fantastic, but it kicked my butt. I mean, it put me down, and the next day I was not in a good place. I enjoyed the 8 ounces I had.
Totally.
Thank God it was only 8 ounces because I remember it was a big bottle it came from. That's all I remember about it. Buddy, it was no joke. Halfway through that 8-ounce pour, it's just like, psh, yeah, now what? You gonna finish that?
Did you eat anything before or after?
Yeah,
It's a whole process, right? You need to.
It didn't matter. It
You're
didn't
done
matter.
after. Yeah.
It didn't matter. Halfway through that 8 ounce, I was like, this was stupid. I'm enjoying this so much, but I'm going to hate myself here in about 10 minutes.
Now, are barrel aged beers? Do they brew longer so they have a higher ABV?
They sit in different barrels, bourbon barrels, whiskey barrels, white wine barrels.
Sounds like a nightmare.
That white wine. White wine and beer do not fucking mix.
Just give me the jungle juice, please.
Exactly.
I tell you, if you ever have the opportunity to have a sour beer that's been aged in a Chardonnay barrel,
That doesn't sound terrible, actually. Like sour with rain.
I think
See, okay.
I think if you
I kind of
thought about it
yeah.
before you dived into it, I think you would like it.
Yeah,
I
'cause
really
I
do.
do like a good oak aged Chardonnay. That is my favorite. I don't like steel.
I agree.
Yeah.
I really do.
The woodiness adds something to the Chardonnay that just, cause Chardonnay is just so fucking bland.
Well, it actually helps the flavor stick around a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Without that barrel, if you will, on the Chardonnay, it almost seems like just grape juice.
Yep.
Like a real light grape juice. And to me, especially if it sits there and warms up a little bit, seems like it's just sugar. But if you get a good oaked Chardonnay, for me, it doesn't sit there long enough to warm up.
That's why I love, like I mentioned, Burgundian Pinots, but like, if I'm not mistaken, Chardonnays are the other Burgundian grape, and they're just those French oak barrels. That's old world shit. Those oak barrels are old as. They came over on the Mayflower. Well, they stayed over on the Mayflower, but they would have came over on the Mayflower if they immigrated.
Well,
Fun fact.
History
honestly, on a hot day, there's nothing like sitting down to a great dinner with a good Chardonnay.
You're preaching to the freaking choir here. A steak or a fucking.
I'm not a wine guy, so I can't picture that, but I trust,
Well,
Dude, you gotta get the full
really-
experience of like sitting on the back porch, nice roasted grilled chicken with some I don't know, some potatoes and man shit.
Best I could do is pizza. But
There's nothing wrong with a Chardonnay pizza either. I'm all here for this.
what's your favorite beer with pizza.
With pizza? I've never experimented like that, but
That's a little too wild for me.
honestly, today I was at Mellow Mushroom downtown, and I had a slice of pizza, and I also had a PBR, but they weren't together. But I mean, I feel like that's as class as you can get, you know.
Does Mellow Mushroom have good pizza?
They used to have great commercials.
Really?
How long have y'all been in Nashville?
I thought you were about to ask how long we've been alive.
Yeah. Almost 3 years. Both of us came around.
Oh no,
Yeah.
no! You need to go on YouTube. I think YouTube, and look up Mellow Mushroom commercials.
I didn't realize it was a chain.
Back in the day, their commercials, when they would come on, I would stop what I'm doing to listen.
Really?
They were hilarious.
Huh.
I feel like they really probably leaned into the whole like mushroom thing, right? The real hippie kind
They
of like
for
opening the third eye kind of thing.
for a while they really did lean into it,
Yeah,
but it seemed to change over time.
yeah. When Bush was elected, they were like, "All right,
Well,
more drugs, no more pizza."
I think what it was is they were stepping up their pizza game, so they felt like they needed to kind of get out of the. And I'm not speaking for them, but it kind of seemed like they needed to get out of the appeal to someone other than the college student. That's just how my brain perceived the way they promoted themselves.
Commercializing.
Yeah, they had to put themselves into a genre.
Yeah.
They had to put themselves into a box.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
A pizza
the one
box.
they chose. And that's the one that worked for
Yeah.
them.
Do you? You're the Italian here, so do you? If Mellow Mushroom's not your favorite, do you have a favorite pizza place in Nashville?
Rock and Dough. I don't know exactly. I think it's like West Side, kind of. Somebody brought it to me because everybody knows that I'm the pizza guy, right? From New York. My family owns a pizzeria back home, and yada, yada, yada. But,
Gabagool.
yeah, 100% Italian, purebred, you know. Mellow Mushroom pizza hits when I'm hungry, but I'm not like, this is great pizza.
Is it real doughy? Like it?
No, it's New York style.
Okay.
But Rock and Dough is the closest that I've had to New York style.
Okay.
So-
What about you? Like, if you had to, like, you got a good bottle of Chardonnay, nice oaked Chardonnay. That
Well,
you
let me
would
hear about the
pair-
pizza first, and then we'll go to.
You look like a Domino's kind of guy. A Domino's kind of guy.
On.
Please just don't do that to me. No,
For the record, I fucking love Domino's. The lava cakes.
Again, that's not pizza, right? The mango habanero chicken is amazing, and so is the lava cakes.
Those fucking lava
But the
cakes are
pizza,
so good.
right?
Yeah. Dude, there was that short time. You remember we bought pizza that one practice? And Domino's did a freaking Brooklyn style crust. Which I guess is like.
Stuffed.
No, it was like.
Tossed, right? It kind of has the garlic on it and stuff.
No, it was like New York style through and through. It was like they had a Nona back there rolling it with a fucking wine bottle. I'm so serious. It was the best fast food pizza, and they don't do it anymore.
I should call my grandma tomorrow. Both of them.
Yeah, Nona. Do you call her Nona? Yeah. Yeah. I work at an Italian restaurant. No, it's really good.
what do you do on the side?
On the side?
Yeah, or I shouldn't say on the side. Well, we're talking about music, so it would be on the side.
I mean, it's so cliche to say, but music is legitimately my life because that's what I do professionally. Like, for money, is I play these covers downtown on Broadway, and I play these country songs or these rock songs, the songs that people want to hear. And I think it's great because it keeps my chops up, and I also get to play these songs over and over again, and I get to understand why these are the songs that people are requesting us to play. So, like, what makes these songs great, and I feel like I'm good about applying that knowledge to Stammer songs and being like, well, that's great, but let's try this, because let's think about like, you know, the longevity and what makes people want to come back to this song, right? Because, you know, I'm sitting there playing Sweet Child of Mine for the 300th fucking time, and I'm like, well, it's annoying, and I'm playing the same stuff, and it's monotonous, it's boring, whatever. But like, I understand. It's like, well, it's a great song when you think about it, right? It's got all the parts. It's got the guitar part. It's got the bass. It's got the vocals, of course. You know, like we said, we kind of, not that we model ourselves after that one song or Guns N' Roses particularly, but like, we always try to put the vocals first, and that's what people are remembering as they're singing along to the, you know, I don't know. I just try and always absorb all the information from these songs that I'm playing over and over again every day to, you know, these songs that we're doing, you know. Not that we're selling out or anything, but I just think it's valuable information to bring to this group, because maybe when we write songs, it's not something that we're all thinking about, you know, and I think it changes things and makes things interesting. I don't know, it's just another, you know, perspective on a song, what can make a song different or hit with somebody. I don't know.
So, what are your thoughts on him, I guess, approaching the band in that way? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think you always have to have a vetting process. I mean, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one, and some of them stink, you know. We're not going to see eye to eye on everything, but, you know, everybody's voice is heard and should be heard, and everybody has opinions, and we all and each have the opportunity to voice them and put that into the music, whether we do try and, you know, whether we do what he says or whether we do what Cole says or 80th says, whatever the circumstance is, at the end of the day, we raise our hand, say aye, and when the decision's made, we just move forward. You know, I think it's a good thing. I think Steve is the voice of reason, because then you have kind of like fairy, make-believe world people like me, who I'll go through phases and I'll listen to something and I'll obsess over it. Obsess over it. My obsession now is Lola Young. That album she just released is so good. It's that Messy, the Messy song.
The soccer player?
No. No, the song Messy. It's gone viral and
I
stuff.
gotta listen to it.
Really cool production. She's from Britain. But anyway, you have people who will just kind of like fantasize and ideas that aren't grounded in reality, and Steve brings us down. And then sometimes we bring Steve up, you know? It's all about balance. It's not really, you know, there's nothing, you know, what the fuck is it? It's music, you know? At the end of the day, it's art, and
We're 5 people with different opinions, and it just works, you know? Like I said, we work best when someone presents an idea, but we're never going to be like, well, you presented the idea, you're going to go 100% with it, you know?
Yeah.
Or if that does happen, then we trust, or we also trust that they are receptive to criticism or changes, and we're all about that, collaborating that way. Yeah, let's do it. Well, actually, I have something more here, but
I want to be ready for you.
yeah.
I'm waiting for him to break out the bourbon.
I'm waiting for the pizza and the grapefruits and the cigars.
Wow.
All at the same time.
Boy, that would be a show. Cigars, bourbon, grapefruit, pizza,
Part 2.
oak Chardonnay.
Next time we're here, we'll bring a fucking pie.
Yeah.
I'll bring some bruleed grapefruits. What else do we say? Cigars.
Cigars.
Yeah, we
That's
won't
you.
smoke
That's
them
on
in
you.
here,
Yeah.
So,
but we'll chew on them like a carrot.
what do you guys do for fun as a band?
Drink.
Yes, that's part of it. We
Theme
when you-
parks.
Yes. When you were at, we practiced at his place, and Cole and him lived together. But we, again, drinking, but we go to this bar down the street. That's where we, like, blow off some steam, usually after practice.
Yo, R.I.P. Rebar at the Dam, man.
It's not dead. We just,
I think it is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that shit shut down. Which is crazy. They had a bar in Midtown, so it got glizzed up, and now it looks like this one's shut down. It was like the perfect neighborhood bar. Shitty food,
Regulars.
cold beer, yeah. It was awesome, and that's usually what we do. A lot of drinking.
Okay.
What about you? What do you do for fun? Do you drink?
I drink good beer and talk to better bands. That's what I do for fun.
Better than us?
That's a great answer, yeah.
Well, I enjoy beer and I enjoy music. I have TV at home, or I have a TV, and I have 2 TVs actually, but they're not plugged in, and I don't have cable. I work a lot, but I spend my free time listening to music, because music can go anywhere.
How do you consume it?
Sleep.
Yeah.
Sometimes. I mean, when I'm really fiending for it, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
But local radio, Lightning 100, huge
102.9.
huge fan.
You know them?
Yeah,
102.9.
the Buzz.
Shout out, yes.
The Buzz. Shout out to Andy.
I'm a huge fan of Lightning 100 because they play local bands, they support local music, and they play everything. They don't say, they wouldn't introduce you as a rock band. They would introduce you as a local band named Stammer.
It's great.
And they would let the consumer figure
I
out.
think, yeah, that's great. There's no expectations.
Right.
That way.
So they will play a bluegrass song, a indie pop song. They'll play, I've heard R&B. I've heard Waylon Jennings. I've heard,
Sweet.
they do different, they lean more towards, and don't take this the wrong way, they lean more towards indie type music, but not any certain genre. And I think the beautiful thing is because, for me anyway, is because I love music. I don't necessarily, now, like you, I'll have my times where I just want to hear a certain genre of music. And I'll really lean into that genre until that mood passes. And then I'll go back to, I just want to hear good music. I don't care if it's R&B. I don't care if it's classical rock, new rock, punk. I mean, just go down the list. I listen to it all. And, depending on what I'm doing, certain moods, I kind of look for certain things.
Sure.
But the one thing I love about that radio station is they will play such a diverse group or styles of music. And I really enjoy that because it's not going to be the same thing when you turn it on. It's not going to be alt rock and nothing but alt rock, or R&B and nothing but R&B. It's going to be little alt rock, some pop, bluegrass.
Man, I do love
Back to, and I really enjoy that. And that's one reason I really enjoy talking to indie bands, is because you do have to put yourself in a box and put a label on your music to fit with other bands or to fit into a quote playlist. You have to do that.
Yeah.
But I like kind of drilling down on each individual artist and saying, okay, what is your background? Where did you come from? What style music do you play when you're by yourself? What are the top 3 program stations on your car radio? You know, stuff like that. And then sometimes that person would be way over here, but they play in a band that is kind of opposite of what they listen to.
Totally.
But it works, and it works for them, and they work for it. And that just shows the creativeness about music. Yeah, this is what I'm into, this is what I like, but I'm into this over here, and I like this. It's kind of like beer. You can really be into IPAs, but you can also like a good lager.
Totally.
And again, and people ask why I do this, the format that I do. I think beer and music are a lot alike. An IPA has to have certain criteria to be an IPA, but each brewery will make their IPA just a little different. They'll put their own twist on it, just like music.
Totally.
A band has to do certain things to be in a rock band, but they're going to put their own twist on the music to make it theirs.
Right.
I think that's where we're at. Like, generally speaking, I would say we're a rock band, right? And we take inspiration from pop music and rock and shoegaze and, you know, metal, of course, and you know, we're also 5 different people with different musical backgrounds. So when we get together, we all bring into that, like, okay, if I have a genre in mind and you have a different genre in mind, that's, you know, 20%, right? Everyone's bringing something to create something new. And I think that's what makes it interesting. And I know that's a cliche answer because, of course, with any band, with any group of people, everyone's going to have different backgrounds. But, you know, I know your biggest genre is metal. Mine is probably rock across the board. Adia likes rock and she likes pop as well. I know she's a big, like, Evanescence fan. That's the main inspiration, I would say, for this band. Cole listens to everything under the sun. He works at Rudy's Jazz Room, so he's consuming music constantly, and he listens to, you hear him at home, he listens to, like, the most random stuff in the world.
There's this one song he showed us one time called the Snuggle Song. And look, it sounds crazy, but the melody and the whoever wrote that fucking song deserves a Grammy. The melody and the instrumentation, anyway. But yeah, Cole is like a golden retriever when it comes to everything, really.
Pretty much.
Yeah, but music more so, because he just is like, he'll see a new band and just like run up and be like, and then he'll see something over here and be like, fuck that bitch, and then fucking go over here. And then consume that music, and then he's all over the place. It's awesome. And to live with him and witness it is even better. That's, oh, man.
You need to set up cameras.
Oh, man. That's amazing.
All right, y'all, this is the end of part 1 of the episode right here with a couple of the members of Stammer. Hope you've enjoyed this episode so far. Again, you already heard me earlier. My name's Harkos. I edit this whole thing right here. If you liked this episode, make sure you like, share, follow, and subscribe to Two Beers with the Band podcast on wherever you're listening or watching this right here, right now. And make sure you hit that notification buzzer so you're always up to date with the latest video right here from Two Beers with the Band podcast. Chris loves talking with independent artists in the Nashville area and diving into what made them want to get into music, how it is to be an independent artist in general, but also in the Nashville scene. He gets into the nitty-gritty with all of these artists because he is very, very passionate and very interested in that lifestyle. If you have listened to any of the other episodes here of Two Beers with the Band, and you have heard a little bit about Chris talking about how he's always loved music, he's not a very musical person, but he always has it around. He doesn't even watch TV at his house, okay? He's always listening to music. This guy loves music. So if you are a lover of music as well too, Two Beers of the Band podcast is the place for you. And again, make sure you hit that notification buzzer so you never miss another episode. And speaking of another episode you should never miss, that's the part 2 episode right here with the episode with Stammer that you will find in 2 days from the posting of this episode right here. So depending on when you're watching this one will depend on when the other episode has already posted or not. So again, like, share, follow, and subscribe. Hit that notification buzzer, and always tune in right here on Two Beers of the Band podcast. I will see you on the next episode, part 2 with Stammer.
That I'm not over it. The truth is that I feel